everyone, I'm Sarah, known on social media as Sarah Lucy Yoga. I'm going to be doing a few videos looking at the sun salutations. So these are a sequence of postures that flow together, and they're really useful to have in a yoga practice. I teach a lot of vinyasa flow, and they are the foundations of that practice. I wanted to share these with you today because they're going to answer a lot of questions that I often get asked. I get asked if I only have a few minutes for practice, what should I do and what should I practice? Or I'm struggling to sequence my home practice, so what sort of things should I be putting in there? They're good for warm-ups and really good for beginners as well. So it's a really nice simple flow that you can follow if you're quite new to yoga, and quite structured as well. Before we get started, some of you might want to do some warm-ups. The sun salutations actually are something used for a warm-up anyway, and you can take them quite light at the beginning, not going too deep in the pose, maybe going a little bit slower to begin with, and that way you can use them to warm up, and then as you flow through, maybe building up the rhythm a little bit, getting deeper into the poses. Something I do quite like to do in this sort of style of practice, so vinyasa style of practice, is warm up the wrists. We do a lot of work in downward dog, chaturangas, we're on our arms and using quite a bit of wrist strength. So it's good to just warm up and strengthen these areas before we start. Ways you can do this? Well, I quite like the flashlights with the fingers. It seems like quite a simple movement, but you soon find it really starts to ache in the lower arms, in the wrist areas, as we start to build up a little bit of heat there. You can take the arms out, try to go as fast as you can, and then you really start to feel it. Maybe taking the arms wide, I'm starting to feel it now. Good, and then just shaking it out a little bit. Another thing we can do is we can come onto all fours and take some rotations with the hands around the wrists. So just going with movements that feel comfortable. So you just want to feel something, but nothing should be painful. So just working to get a little bit of movement there. Another one is to bring the heels of the hands together and start to take some rotations around the wrists there. So again, just going to the range of motion that feels right for you. Going one direction, changing directions. Try to keep the heels of the hands down. Good. And then let's just take another one, turning the palms upwards, fingers towards the body. And then just carefully sitting back towards the heels any amount, just to the point you feel the stretch. Lengthen the arms if you can. Good, and then just sit back towards the heels, shake it out a little bit. Good, and then let's bring the palms flat on the ground, spread the fingers, have the middle finger facing forward. Start to tuck the toes, send the hips back up into downward dog. You could take some movement in your downward dog just to loosen out the hamstrings, the calf muscles, get the hips high so you're getting that length through the spine, and relax the head down. So downward dog is also a really good pose just to warm up with, especially when we start to move the legs, to get this little bit of movement there. From there, look towards the hands, start to take some footsteps forward, and just relax over the legs with the upper body, maybe grab the elbows, sway a little bit from side to side, release any tension there in the spine, in the head, the neck, the shoulders, maybe nod in the head a little bit. Good, and then releasing the arms and start to roll up at a time, one vertebra at a time. Good. Alright, so let's get to the top of our mat to start to prepare for these sun salutations. Our Sun Salutation A is what we're going to be looking at in this video. So, traditionally in mountain pose, we bring the big toes to touch, a little bit of space between the heels. Rise up through the spine so you're getting as much length as you can. You want to draw the tailbone under, so tilt the pelvis forward, relax the shoulders down and away from the ears, and reach the crown of the head up to the sky so you're really getting that length through the back of the neck. A slight tuck in with the chin there to really lengthen through the neck. Take some nice deep breaths here. You could use Ujjayi breath as you flow through this style of movement if you have that in your practice. And then we move with the breath in the Sun Salutations. So on an inhale, we take the arms up, lengthen. Exhale, start to fold over the hips, keeping the spine long. So you might take this forward fold quite light at the beginning. So maybe bending the knees so it's not too strong on the hamstrings. And then inhale, we come up to a flat back. So you can take the hands to the shins or the fingertips to the ground. We're just keeping that back straight like a little tabletop. From there, planting the hands down. So again, you probably need to bend the knees here. And then stepping far back into a plank pose. So this might be strong to hold. So you can always modify by bringing the knees down if you wanted to. So you could take your plank here. It is good to try and hold if you can. You really work the strength. So you could try holding for a bit and maybe dropping the knees down if you need to. In the traditional Sun A, we would take a chaturanga at this point. I'm going to show a variation which is particularly quite good to just start with, maybe if we're just warming up at the beginning and we don't feel quite ready just to go straight into the chaturanga. So from plank, we would drop the knees, bend the elbows, keeping them into the side body, so a little push-up position, and then start to bring the chest forward and drop the hips down so you're coming into a cobra as you lift up the chest. Use the tummy and abdominal muscles here. So traditionally we would come to a upward dog, so that might be something you do, but we're just going for a gentler option and going into cobra on this first round. From there, push into the hands, send the hips back, tuck the toes and take it into downward dog. You can spend a few breaths in downward dog. So if it's still one of the earlier ones, you might take some more movement to continue to warm up. Or you might choose to take stillness. You could always take a child's pose at this point by bringing the knees down and taking a rest. When you're ready, we start to take it back to the top of the mat so we can flow through another round. Bending the knees, coming high on the toes, option to jump forward, or you could take a few steps forward if you prefer. If you're jumping, a nice light jump to the top. Halfway inhale, so that flat back. Exhale to fold. On your inhale, coming all the way up and back into our mountain pose. We'll take another round. Inhale, rise, and exhale to fold. Inhale, flat back, and then take the hands down, step back into your plank pose. I'm going to show the full chaturanga variation for this one, but you could continue to drop the knees. In chaturanga, we bend the elbows, keeping them into the side body, but we make sure the shoulders stay higher than the elbows. So keep the strong position on the shoulders, don't dip the shoulders here. From there, pushing forward with the chest, coming into upward dog, thighs off the ground, toes untuck. From there, rolling over the toes, downward dog. Good. Again, you can take a few breaths here. Just taking it in your downward dog, or you could take child's pose. When you're ready, we'll get ready to take another round. Bending the knees, coming high on the toes, step or jump towards the front. Halfway to lift, exhale to fold. Inhale, rise, and back to mountain. So we'll take another round. This time I'm going to show you the option of jumping back into chaturanga. If you don't want to take that, you would just take a step back to plank as we've been doing. If you're jumping back to chaturanga, land with the bend in the elbows, remembering to keep those shoulders higher than the elbows. I'll show you what I mean in this next demonstration. Inhale to rise and exhale to fold. Inhale, flat back, and hands come down. So this is the jump back. We bend the knees, start to bring the weight into the arms as we take a jump back, land with those bent elbows into our chaturanga. Inhale to come forward, coming into upward dog, thighs off the ground, really strong, active legs, and then take it back, downward dog. So I've shown a few variations of the Sun A now. Decide which one is working better for you, and we'll take one more round. Bending the knees, coming high on the toes, step or jump to the top of the mat, halfway inhale. Exhale to fold, and inhale to rise. Good. Back into mountain. So setting up for our final round. Remember to get that nice length in your mountain pose. On your inhale, taking the arms up, lengthen. Exhale to fold. Inhale to lift. Hands come down. I'm going to do a jump back to chaturanga and flow it through into my upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Good. So from there, you could continue to do a few more rounds. This might be the whole of your practice. It's a really good way to get the body moving. You might move on to a standing sequence, or you might go down and take some poses on the floor. So continue however you want to with your practice. As you can see, it's a really good thing just to get the body moving for a few minutes. I generated a little bit of heat there just doing a few rounds. So I love the sun salutations. I think they're a really good basis for our yoga practice, and I hope that video was useful. I will be doing a few more on the different styles of sun salutations in some future videos, so check out those as well. Have a great rest of your day, enjoy your practice, and namaste.